just get my light turned on there. All right, I'm back for the final video in my little Teach Myself OCS series, and we're going to combine a few things today to show a intercepted bombing run attempt. It's the last thing I haven't really covered is air power. The basic air combat is pretty easy, but I wanted to show what an interception was like. When you do air combat, the winner or the loser, what you determine the winner or loser, one's going to go back to the base inactive or active and can fly again. Now, when you go to intercept, it's something called a patrol zone. So if you're bombing something within 10 hexes of a enemy airbase that has an active unit, they can attempt to intercept. You can only intercept each mission once, and only one fighter or one unit can be picked to do the interception. If you want to follow along, let me make sure I got the right page here. It is 14. Bear with me here. It always comes down to finding the... okay, so the player can intercept with a single active fighter with the patrol zone into the mission hex. The player is not required to intercept. Interception missions are never prevented by game-specific weather. So basically, I'm going to try to do a bombing run here with 2 units of Junkers Ju-88s are going to fly out. We want to dislodge the Russian 17th Infantry Division. It's a 2-stepper, 2RE. And the SS Das Reich here, there's only a few units under there. It's not the whole thing. They want to get a spotter in there to make this a little bit easier. So what I'm also going to do is show you how to negate a ZOC. Now, you don't really need to negate it here. You can go all the way around, blah, blah. But this is clear. They kind of want to sneak in there. But there is a way to do it. This unit here is stopping them. It's got a ZOC. It is a combat-ready unit. It exerts a ZOC around it. Track and leg ignore ZOCs. Truck does not. And so they've been given the order here, and the SS wants to establish a good spot to launch a counterattack here or an attack. And they also want to spot and move their artillery in so they can bombard across that river and try to dislodge that division. I'm just making all this up. But stuff like this probably happens. So we need to get these last 2 units here, as you can see, are in move mode, 14 movement and 16 movement. But they're black movement numbers, so they are stopped by a ZOC. But there is a way to get around that, and we're going to use some subtle trickery here. Negate the ZOC so we can get someone in there to spot later on for artillery, but right away, right now, for a Junkers scramble and airstrike out of the airfield over here by Gorky, which is pretty far away. We're not going to get that 10 hex bonus. And I'll show you how this works. All right, about to get into some serious combat. Okay, so we're going to kind of start with say it's the German movement phase, all right? And just outside of Kirov here is a Soviet air base. They're getting ready to scramble. I'll show you how this works. Okay, so if you see my other videos, you pretty much know the play order. We're going to be on movement breakout. No, we're going to do movement segment. We're going to do air naval barrage segment. We're going to fit it all into this. All right. So movement, we're going to zoom in a little bit, back up. I'm just going to unstack this here. Bear with me. Oh, man, it's been a long day. All right, we're going to unstack this. We're going to fuel up this whole formation by flipping this truck. And using that, I'm going to put that on the bottom and leave it behind. And we're going to fuel up this formation. So they are ready to go. Okay, we need to negate a ZOC and move in. And we're going to move out, and I'll show you how to do that here. Let me just pan out. And here we go. Okay, so one thing that has confused me, and if you're watching this, let me know, but I'm just going to do it by what I read to the rules, are bridges. I know it sounds easy, but I never take anything for granted in war games. Now, in most war games, the game assumes that there's a bridge when you go across the road over a river. And from what I'm reading, I also checked the Smolensk special rules. From what I'm reading, right here, a unit pays the road movement costs and ignores other features in the hex or hex side. Now, normally, if you were to cross the river without a road, you would add +3 or whatever to the terrain that you're going into when you cross over the river. Exceptions, units moving along a road ignore these features. So I'm going to assume that there's a bridge here, and I'm going to record this video that there is a bridge there, and I'm going to use it. If I'm wrong, correct me later, but I ain't changing the video. We'll just note it in the comments. So I'm going to say this is a bridge, and we're going to use that movement, the road movement, to get over that river. It's a minor river, not major. You can also use engineers. Like if I were to cross here, I could see where I would add it, but I'm just assuming that there's a bridge if a road goes over a river. That's all I'm saying, because railroads are there, and that's what I'm going with. All right, so just a disclaimer. So we're going to fuel up here. I'm going to flip this recon, SS recon unit over to move mode. And we need to sneak someone right here. There's a ZOC here. We're gonna negate this and then take another unit and sneak right there and use it as a spotter. Okay? All right, so let's take this recon unit. Count with me now. Here we go. We're gonna do, this should be pretty easy. That is a secondary road, and according to this, that is 1/2 for track. That's what I'm using. 1, 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. We're going to stop right there. All right. Now, when a unit negates a ZOC, he cannot use any more movement and be assumed to be using any more movement for the rest of that phase. So he's done now. He is track movement, so technically he could zip all around through here. But we've got truck movement that needs to squeeze in there, and it would have to stop here or use force, and we don't want to deal with that stuff. So we're going to sneak someone right there to be a spotter. And we're going to move our artillery up too. So this unit, the SS Recon unit's done. He is at reduced strength because he's in movement mode, but oh well. That's the SS, man. They'll have to deal with it. By the way, he's got a 5 action rating. All right, next, let's move our spotter up. I don't want to move the artillery yet. This is truck movement. So secondary road truck movement is still a 1/2. So we're going to do the same thing. Oh, pardon me. 1, 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. I do not have to stop. And I have to stop there. All right, I hope I did that right. So he does have to stop there because that ZOC hex is not negated, but that's fine. He's now a spotter. That's exactly what I wanted. We need to take that unit out across the river. We're looking to build up right there. All right. Now next, we're going to move the artillery, and it's 14 movement. We know that this guy's got enough to get to where we need to get him. All right. We're going to stack him. Let's put him back here. He's got a range of 1, 2, 3. So we'll stop him here. We don't want him to be attacked or anything weird like that. And, you know, if you want to, say I had some supplies back here. Where's my plane? Ooh, wow, they're far back. I could take this truck here, right? I could take the truck here and go back and say I had a supply dump here and then kind of load up and get him ready. And then that takes care of that. So that is kind of how you cancel a ZOC, or some of the tricks you can use. And the pro players will do even more things. They'll leave a breakdown unit in a hex and keep moving and things like that. But this is pretty much what I wanted to do. I wanted to get this artillery right about there so he can bombard or hit this unit. We're going to block hit with him. I mean, The action rating is a 5 to a 2. That's a +3 this die roll if they do go into combat. And I'll take my chances. And plus this guy's here, so he's no slouch. But he is now the spotter, and you saw how I kind of snuck him in there because I negated this, so I was able to move there, and then I had to stop here. All right. And that's because they're truck. And your track, and you can tell the movement type when you look at the, when you look at the movement on the counter. Remember, we went over this. Track units have a red MA and a yellow box, like we're seeing right there, and your truck have black, and then your leg is white, like these guys. All right, so that's just an example of getting ready to do a barrage, because I don't want to make a barrage without a spotter. It is brutal column shift. All right, now we still have our active interceptor here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he's within range. Now keep in mind, if the interceptor loses the intercept and becomes inactive, the patrol zone goes away. Just a heads up on that. It's very little things in the rule book that you need to read. Remember, in the rule book, it says an active fighter at an air base. Active is a patrol zone. Read very carefully. It threw me off. I originally did this video completely wrong because I screwed up. So, by the way, a good reference for this, on the OCS depot, there's an entire Sicily 2 using the 4.3 rules. There's an entire document about air examples using Sicily 2. So I would definitely go on there, and it's called OCS Depot. Look that up, and you'll get a good example of the air stuff. That's how I found out I made a mistake in my last video, which I'm now re-recording. Okay. So that was a multi-unit formation fuel up. And that's how we did that. And then, of course, we have to worry about supply and all that stuff if we do combat, yada, yada. Air barrage does not take supply. So we're not going to worry about that right now. But, you know, play through the game. You'll see how it goes. Now we're going to be doing... Yeah, I'll show you what we're doing now. I did that. Now we're on to... It's really hard looking at the camera and doing this. Air naval barrage segment. So you see I set myself up, and then I went to here. All right. I'm declaring the mission is 2 Junkers are going to barrage the Soviet infantry dug in across that river. We're going to take them out. All right, we've been given orders. So you fly your planes to the mission hex. I'm just going to put them right over the red arrow there. Their range is 106, so we're definitely in range. All right. Now, we check for intercepts. The Soviet player declares an intercept, and we go into air combat. And there's a whole diddly of rules there. All right. So this is the first time we're kind of covering this. I'll kind of read along so you can follow and know what we're talking about here. Okay. We're using the 14 point... damn it. Using the air mission sequence right there. All right. Declare mission type. Move aircraft. Resolve air combat. Are there any air combat units in that hex? Am I bombing an air base or anything? No. Resolve interceptions. All right. We already note that. An interception triggers air combat. All right. Both players lay out their craft. You should take note that. Let me zoom in. All right. You should take note here that my Junkers have parenthesized 2s. They can defend, but they're not aerial dogfighters. They're tactical bombers. So that automatically flips the MiG-3 to be the attacker. He's considered now the attacker. If at any part of the aerial combat, all the units have parenthesized attack values after a round, they ignore each other and you proceed with the mission. All right, we're going to be doing interception. The interceptor must do a round of combat with each one of these. And that's how that works. You keep going until one side's left standing. All right, how do you do that, you say? All right, the attacker selects one of his non-parenthesized air units, and we square off. Pretty much these are the same. You want to subtract the air ratings from each other. Take the attackers, subtract the defenders. 2 minus 2 is 0. No modifier to the die roll. All right, and we're looking on, let me get my dice. I'm a little bit kerfluddled here. All right. Roll 2 dice, and then a third. Okay. Now, once we have that, we're going to be, let's see, attacker rolls 2 dice, adding it to his air combat rating, and then subtracting the defending air combat rating. Oh, shit. That's a good roll. Okay. It's better than the roll I had the other night. All right. 11. Adding it to the air combat rating is a 13 minus 2 back down to 11. And we check the air combat table. Eight or more, defender aborts. All right. There goes an entire JU-88 mission chit. And now we need to check for loss. The DRMs do not apply to the loss. Uh-oh. Oh, 4, no loss. Okay, so after you do that, you determine who's going to abort, then you roll on this table. No loss. This Junkers will go all the way back to Gorky, and phew, he is cussing up a storm. He is now inactive. All right. That did not work out too well. Now we have another round of combat. Back that up a little bit there. And we pick again. And these two square up. And we roll the dice. Oh, shit. All right. There's 8. 8 plus 2 is 10 minus 2, 8. All right. What happens? Wow, this is awful. This guy's kicking some ass. Again, defender aborts. All right. This interceptor is doing really well. 6. Oh, step loss for the Junkers. He actually shot down some planes right there. All right, so we flip this unit over and he flies back. Ouch. Well, I wasn't expecting to not do a bombardment. The victorious MiG-3 has completed his interception. A victorious interceptor goes back to the base, still active because the patrol zone is still there. So, for example, if I said I'm launching another attack from Gorky, guess what? That guy's still active. He can still intercept. But you can only intercept each mission once. Okay, you know what? That was kind of depressing. Let's bring out a BF-110. A little bit better for combat. All right, I'm a little bit angry. I'm going to hit him again. Here we go. The Russian players like Das Vidanya. I'm intercepting. Boom. All right, that triggers air combat. Now let's see how good he thinks he is, okay? I'm going to crack this nut if it's the last thing I do. All right, so now we are looking at a little bit of a attacker-defender selection here. So both players lay out their aircraft. The attacker, that is now me, the German player. He is the attacker. The roles would switch if the erstwhile attacker has only air units with parenthesized ratings. We do not anymore. I am now the attacker. I'm the captain now. All right, we're going to roll 2 dice. I'm going to add that 3. So that's 6. That's 9. Subtract that 2. That's 7. Let's see what happens on a 7. God, I'm not having... Oh, woo, doggy. Bam, both abort. All right. Well. They bounce. Now, that's pretty interesting. I did not know that was going to happen. All right. Now, you can roll 3 dice together if you have a different colored dice to skip this. All right, let's see if anyone takes a step loss. 3. No loss. Okay. Oops. So, they both abort. Wow, brutal. All right. So the BF-110 is going to go back. He's going to go under the base because he's inactive. The MiG-3 goes back and he is now inactive. And the patrol zone is canceled. And you know that by looking under 14.5 at interceptions right there. If the interceptor wins, it stays active. If it loses, it becomes inactive. So that cancels the patrol zone. Now I could be a further dick, and if I had another bomber here, I could then say, send them in. I don't know if that's gamey or not, or are you supposed to launch all your missions at once? I don't know, but it's 4 planes per air barrage mission. I know that. Oh, maybe you can only do that once. Let me just check that. I just remembered you may be able to only hit, let's see. Oh, 1 barrage against a hex in a phase. Let's see. Let me just make sure. I may not have been able to do that second one, so we might just have to ignore that. I just remembered that. But it's a good thing that I did remember it. Normally I would forget. A given hex can normally be barraged just once in a phase. Once in a phase. Yeah, so I probably broke a rule there. Oh well. Worth a try, I guess. Yeah. Once in a phase. Okay. Well, what that means about the patrol zone thing is, say I had more fighters, what I would have had to have done was pick another hex to barrage, then he could intercept if he was still active. I can't keep pounding the same hex. So just correct that on air. That's what that means. So if he was still active, I could have taken another bomber and hit like this hex, and then he would say, well, I'm still active from the last intercept. I'm going to intercept this one. All right, so let's just clear that up. My bad, almost forgot that. The smart thing is I caught it. A hip shot while you're moving will allow you to hit a target hex multiple times, but you're only using 1 aircraft there. A aircraft barrage can have up to 4 planes, 4 units. Okay, so the barrage failed miserably. I didn't even need a spotter, and that's it. Now, normally, I already did an aircraft barrage where I showed you how that works. You would go here. If he had survived, he would then be subject to flak. And we did a flak thing already. I already showed you how to do that in the previous video. Then, if you survive that, you drop the armament, you drop the payload, and you do the bombing. In this case, some of the factors inherent here. Let me just show you how bad this would be real quick. The target hex doesn't have any of this stuff, but the mission has at least 1 fighter. No, the mission has no fighters. It would be a +2 shift. And then you also have to look out for things up here. Hold on 1 sec. You could get you remember the aircraft loss table. So, yeah, you're looking at... The flak would have a +2 roll to it. So just out of curiosity, let's see. Say he survived. There's no fighter escort. That's 7, 8, 9. And for flak, you must get 11 or more, I believe. Yep. So he would have made the flak. Then he can drop the bombs. So you don't have to worry about that. That's nice. That's when you go to the barrage table, and you remember we did this the other day. Oops, sorry. Oops, I got the right table. Not bad. And that's where you go here, and it would be 12. But we got some shifts. That's open terrain. And you got to check the REs. So we're at 2, greater than 1, up to 3. There's no shift there. Additional shifts. We have a spotter, thank God. None of these terrains come into effect, and no one's within 10 hexes of their base. No density shift. I think it's a straight roll on the 12 column. Make sure the terrain's clear, yep. So that's good. So then it would be a straight roll, and we would roll this. Let's just see what happens here. A 6 on a 12. we would have achieved a DG. And that's good. That's kind of what we wanted. But fair is fair, and the fighters just did not make it. This was not the day for the Luftwaffe, so the mission fails. I knocked some units around there. Sorry about that. So the mission fails, but in the end, we still got, we moved close. We got a spotter here, and we were able to move our SS artillery up. So you can bet coming around that there's a little phase coming up that you might want to take a look at. Of course, they're going to need combat supply, but here's why you do that. So I'm still angry at that hex, let's pretend, right? And you're going to go to here, supply, all right? And then you have reaction. And the reaction phase is the non-phasing player. And the non-phasing player's active air units can perform missions: fighter, sweep, hip shoot, air transport, and the movement segment, barrage, and the barrage segment. That's nasty. Then we go to the German combat phase, and that's where I open up with the SS artillery here. So I set him up, but he's in move mode. Ugh. So he is reduced strength. He's stuck in move mode, but then I would unload a 10. Let's see. I wanted it to be 3, so hold on. Make sure I'm still in range here. God, I'm not with it today. Brutal. Something like that, I think. So 1, 2, 3, I could hit that hex and bombard it, and we have a spotter. So, all right, that's about it. I just wanted to show you how the interception worked. Couple of examples there. That was brutal. I wasn't expecting to completely fail that mission, but that's how it works. So remember, you can only air barrage 1 hex, not multiple times. So just forget that I did that. Just pretend that, I was going to go hit another hex. I couldn't keep throwing planes at that 1 hex. So, but that's how it works. Just remember, you have to do a complete round of air combat, okay, until there's no one left in the hex, or the interceptor completes the combat, and you determine a winner. So. And remember the 10 patrol zone thing, the 10 hexes. Inactive, the patrol zone drops. So if another one came and went up here, he could not intercept that. All right, that's about it. I can't really think of any more demos to do. I've pretty much exhausted my demo list. I showed you how you can negate a ZOC here. I even fueled up and sent my truck back, so... I think I got everything. Again, I'm assuming that if there's a road crosses the river, there's a freaking bridge. So if not, going by the rule book, let me know. And this will be the last one, and then I'm going to play a little bit. So I'll probably take a break from making some videos. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the series. Hopefully you found it helpful to learn along with me. And eventually I plan on doing some more for other games. SCS probably. I got some titles coming in for that. But first I want to get OCS down. I want to play a few games. And my next videos will be like what happens during those games. I probably won't play on air, but who knows? We'll see. If I'm brave enough, maybe. I just can't. I'm not smart enough to think about all those little maneuvers that people do. They do some complicated stuff like leaving the, moving through and leaving behind a breakdown unit, and the breakdown units are in the rule book. If you go to it's all the way near the back here. If you're new, make sure you read very carefully 20.0. Okay, because you can use a breakdown unit and you can leave it in a ZOC to negate the ZOC and then pass a bunch of stuff through, like supply trucks. All right, so I think that's about it. Overall, not a good day for the Luftwaffe. The SS did their job moving in there and spotting, but Luftwaffe not so much. They that was brutal. so the original mission failed, and that should have been it. But yeah, not good. The way it originally ended was the interceptor came out, stopped the 2 Junkers, flew back, and he was active, and that's where we should have left it right there. So, all right. Hope everyone enjoyed this. I'm going to get this video up, and have a good month, and October's coming up.